Hello there everybody, my name is Silver and this video is in fact a Jojo's reference. So you may or may not remember not even close to this time last year, but at some point early in 2019 when I was in Japan, I did a video about Jojo's Bizarre Adventure. And here we are, full circle. Now I have completely finished Jojo's and feels good, man. So before we get into this video talking about Jojo's, I would just like to explain my little thing that I do. I have this thing, it's kind of weird. I call it the anime of the year. So in January, the very first anime of the year I watch, I mark it down, I remember it, I watched an anime, and then in December, at the end of the year, I rewatch that same show, except in the English dub. I don't know why I got into it. I started doing it in about 2016. I started with an anime called Amatora, and I don't know, I just got the idea. I was like, I want to see what the English dub is like. So bada bing, bada boom, that's where that came from. I went from Amatora, I went to, the next one I did was Keijo. You know what Keijo is? Oh my goodness. And then I did Blood Blockade Battlefront, Kekai Sensen. That was the anime of 2018 that I watched a little bit before I arrived in Japan. And then Jojo's. Goddamn Jojo's Bizarre Adventure was my anime of 2019. Good stuff. And now I have rewatched a little bit of the episodes in English, and actually, Season 5, Golden Wind, was still airing in Japan when I had eventually caught up. There is about 5 seasons of JoJo, so like mid-February I think I was getting there and almost finished. And yeah, so the middle of Golden Wind I caught, because it hadn't aired yet, I couldn't watch it. So I have just returned to Golden Wind and I have just now finished it, and it was very nice. But yeah, so that's the whole thing about JoJo's. But anyways, in this video, let's get back onto it. We are going to talk about Jojo's Bizarre Adventure and what an absolutely insane and amazing and bizarre anime this is. Oh yeah. So if you haven't heard or you aren't familiar with Jojo's, how are you not? Jojo's is an incredibly popular anime in Japan. It has become such a huge thing that it's just this weird memey just cluster of just things, and it's become a cult classic. It's a huge hit. It's just all over the place, and it's crazy, and there's all these memes and all this stuff. I'm sure you've seen Makata Kuronaka, the guy with the blonde hair, and all those freaking silly memes. There's so many. And the JoJo's pose of the guy with the blonde hair, and he's like walking through the door. There's just so much stuff, and it's become so popular, and it's insane. But anyways, JoJo's. We start with Season 1. We start with Phantom Blood. So Jojo's Bizarre Adventure follows the generations of the Joestar family. So each new season starts with a new Jojo, the next part in the family tree, and it's pretty sick. We start with Season 1, called Phantom Blood. There's I forget what his father's name is, I'm sorry, but anyways, we start with this guy with a mustache, and he's on the roadside. His carriage has crashed, and we see this other guy called basically it's Dio's father. He's this other old guy, and he's like, oh, I see this guy crashed here, I'm gonna help him out. Except he's not really helping him out, he's trying to take his stuff because this dude is super evil. And the guy wakes up and he's like, oh, please save my wife and child. And he's like, oh, well, okay, I can take this sucker for all he's worth. So that's how it all starts. Okay, I'm really botching this, aren't I? Anyways, so basically, Season 1 follows the story of Jonathan Joestar and Dio as they are young kids in this mansion. So Dio's father, who is an evil asshole, manages to convince Jonathan's father that he owes him a debt because he saved his life, where in reality he was actually trying to be an asshole. So Dio eventually, when Dio's father dies, he goes to the Joestar mansion and he's like, hey, you owe my father, so can I live here? And then Dio proceeds to be an evil prick to Jonathan. He tries to ruin his life, and Dio is the guy with the blonde hair. He is the most evil. He's the main antagonist of JoJo's, and it's pretty sick. So Season 1 follows the story of them two, and then from Season 1, at the end of Season 1, I'm not going to explain the entirety of the season, but basically Jonathan and Dio start fighting. Okay, I'm just gonna go on ahead and stop myself there because that was just a terrible, terrible synopsis, and we're gonna go to the Wikipedia and have a proper look at this thing. So, in 19th century England, a youth named Dio Brando is adopted by the wealthy George Joestar to repay... Oh, his name's George as well. Okay. To repay Dio's father for seemingly saving his life. But yes, he was actually trying to take his stuff. Jonathan Joestar, who aspires to become a gentleman, finds himself shunned by his family and friends as part of Dio's plot to take the Joestar fortune for himself. So yes, Dio is pure evil. He sort of blames his father for doing this, but it's more, yeah, he's just crazy and evil. So he plans to completely uproot Jonathan's life, and he continues to just be an absolute asshole to them in their childhood. And, Jonathan develops an interest in a mysterious stone mask that belonged to his mother. It is later revealed to be an ancient artifact that grants the wearer immortality. Yes, so the stone masks. So this is another big Jojo's thing. His mother found it? Belonged to his mother. Okay, I thought George was like an archaeologist or something. But anyways, the stone mask is this crazy thing. So they figure it out. The stone mask, you put it on a person's face and then you cover it in blood, and then spikes shoot out of the mask and penetrate the person's brain. And instead of killing them, it turns them into an immortal vampire. Yes, this is where Jojo's starts to get crazy, ladies and gentlemen. So Dio eventually uses the power of the stone mask to become a vampire, and it is up to Jonathan to stop him. And thus the blood feud between Dio and the Joestars begins. So yeah, season 1 leads on from that. Dio becomes a vampire and Jonathan has to stop him, and it's all crazy and action and blah blah blah, and then eventually they both die in the Atlantic Ocean. Or do they? And then we get into Hamon, which is the power he uses to fight him. He finds this guy called Zeppeli, and he trains him in the power of Hamon, which is like this breathing technique, and it's like a life energy or something, and him and Dio fight, and oh my god, dude, I am really botching this. Hold on a second here.
Hey, Silver, maybe you should script your videos instead of just verbal diarrhea all over the place.
Screw you, dude. Anyways, my thoughts are a little bit jumbled, I'm sorry. So at the end of season 1, Dio and Jonathan, their whole story is done. They are on a ship, and they're trying to get to America or something, and the ship explodes. Dio is obviously trying to continue to do evil stuff. He attacks Jonathan, and they are supposedly both killed in this ship's explosion. However, Jonathan's wife and his child miraculously survive the crash because they are staying in one of Dio's coffins. And despite this coffin being massive and metallic and supposedly completely sunlight-proof, is able to float on the ocean for some reason. So yeah, Jonathan dies, and so does Dio, supposedly, and she and her son managed to survive. So then we move into season 2, Battle Tendency. So this is the next season, the next iteration of the Joestar family. So Jonathan's wife, and this took me a while to wrap my head around. I don't know, family trees are confusing. So Jonathan's wife and her child, he is George Joestar, and he marries a lady who is a survivor of the ship crash as well. And then they have a son called Joseph Joestar. And then we move into the best Joestar, Fight Me. Joseph is the coolest, and he's the most just hilarious. I don't know, he's one of my favorite characters in the entire show. He's fantastic. So Battle Tendency is about Joseph's adventures. He is He's very clever. He has pickpocketing skills. He's kind of not really, yeah, but he's just a very clever, very intelligent guy. He pickpockets. He uses manipulation, mind techniques, and he uses the Hamon as well, and he fights lots of dudes. In this season, the main antagonists are called the Pillar Men, so they are the guys in the ancient past who made the stone masks, and they are these freaky vampire dudes who have really crazy powers. It gets very bizarre. So yeah, Jonathan fights those dudes, and that's the majority of season 2. Pretty sick. The end of season 2 is insane. They're on a volcano and he shoots them into space, and it's crazy. So season 2 is probably my favorite. That is the one I feel the most nostalgic about. And That song, I'm gonna play that song right now. I'll be the roundabout. That's where all the memes come from, or some of them do. And that song, just the memory of that song, Roundabout, that really stuck with me when I was in Japan. It was stuck in my head all the time. So whenever I hear that song, the snow of Zugaiki and the ice, and oh my god, dude, memories. Anyways, season 2 is pretty sick, probably one of my favorite seasons. It's fantastic. But then, from season 2, we move into season 3. Now this is peak JoJo's. This is where it gets really good. Season 2 is my favorite, but season 3 is also pretty freaking good too. Season 3 is Stardust Crusaders. So we move into the next Joestar, who is Kujo Jotaro. So the Joestar family is now in Japan. Joseph Joestar from the previous season is old now. This is several years later, and he's an old man, and he's visiting his daughter, who is now living in Japan. And this is where Joseph's character really comes into it, because he's old, he's hilarious, and he's just, oh my god, and he's the meme lord. So yeah, he's really cool. And then we move into Joseph, who is Japanese. He is a guy in high school. He's absolutely massive for a dude in high school, but you know, whatever. He's kind of a punk. He wears all leather and is kind of like a hard ass, and he's yori yori doze. So that's that JoJo, and we now move into the main part of JoJo's. We are not with Hamon anymore. The main part of JoJo's is the stands, the powers. So now in season 3, everyone has a stand, or most people do. So a stand is sort of like the manifestation of your soul, sort of. It's like an extra part of you, and they call it a stand because the power comes out of your body and it stands beside you, sort of like a projection of yourself behind you. And that's where that all comes from. We learn more about stands throughout the season, and how they're, through the rest of JoJo's really, how they're manifested and all this stuff. So yeah, that's where the main JoJo's power comes from, all the stands and the ridiculous abilities. I will say JoJo's, like, they do such a good job. The abilities and the powers are just the most imaginative and just crazy freaking things you've ever heard of. Like, I've seen a lot of anime in my time. I know a lot of crazy abilities and superpowers, but JoJo's just, it just absolutely blows everything out the water. The abilities are so imaginative and insane. It's just crazy. So season 3 is really good. We follow the story of Jotaro, as he and Joseph and a few other dudes, they are fighting Dio. So Dio has returned. It turns out that the ship crash didn't kill him, and he was in a coffin or something. Did I mention that Dio was just ahead at this point when he was on the ship? So what happened was, Dio is ahead and he's fighting Jonathan. And what Dio did is he managed to kill Jonathan and take his body. So he cut off Jonathan's head, put his head on Jonathan's body, and now that's his new form. So yeah, that's a thing. Really bizarre. So he has Jonathan's body, and he's doing evil things, and it's up to Jotaro and the gang to stop him. So they do this whole cool journey across the world. They travel from Japan to Egypt, where Dio is, and they have this really cool story of going through India and Pakistan and all this stuff there. So season 3 is really sick. It's sort of designed after the Journey Across the World in 90 days or 80 days or whatever that movie is. I don't know. But yeah, season 3 is pretty dope indeed. Next up, we have season 4, which is Diamond is Unbreakable. Now, please, huge JoJo's fans, now just bear with me here. I'm going to say something that you're probably not going to like. I don't think season 4 is all that good. Whoa. Okay, so let me explain myself. Season 4 it's good, but it's not my favorite. It's just kind of there. So season 4 follows the story of the next Joestar, Josuke Higashikata. So Josuke is the bastard son of Joseph the best Joestar. So it turns out that he had an affair when he was 62, and he did the nasty with another woman, and Josuke is the result. So it's actually pretty crazy of him to have done that. But yeah, it's season 4 is like, I don't know, it's kind of like murder mystery. Like they go around and they have to solve all these clues, and season 4 is pretty cool. However, Season 4 is leading on from Season 3, which, as I said before, is peak JoJo's. Stardust Crusaders, like, you can't follow that. Like, it was so dope. Like, it's really hard to follow Stardust Crusaders. And then Season 4 starts off with Josuke, who is basically Jotaro from the last season, hot take. So he's a high school punk again, similar to there's so many Joes right now. Similar to Jotaro from last season. His catchphrase is similar. His whole dororororora is also similar. Koitsu wa great daze, as opposed to yare yare daze. I mean, it's quite similar. That means koitsu wa great daze is like, oh, this is just great. Whereas the Yosuke Jotaro from last season, his catchphrase is "Good grief, yada yada does it." So, I mean, there are similarities there, but I suppose Josuke does stand out as a interesting character on his own. He has a magnificent pompadour, and he's quite a bit different to so many Joes right now, dude. Jotaro, he's quite different, I suppose. But anyway, Season 4 is like, yeah, it's kind of alright. There are a lot of references to, the creator of JoJo's, he's a very big music guy, and there are a lot of references to various songs and albums in his thing. One of the things that stands out the most for me in Season 4 is Red Hot Chili Pepper. There is a stand that is named after the Red Hot Chili Peppers, which I think is hilarious. So, yeah, Season 4 is pretty cool. As I said, kind of murder mystery, kind of solving this whole this thing. The main antagonist is Yoshikage Kira. He is a psychopath killer dude, and his stand allows him to remain hidden from the public eye for the longest time. And yeah, it's about him fighting those dudes. And Jotaro is also there. He's older now, and he's a marine biologist or something. But yeah, Season 4, kind of, yeah, it was cool, but not the most strongest JoJo's, in my opinion. I'm sorry. And then, finally, we move into Season 5, Golden Wind. This is the season that I have only just recently finished, and it was pretty damn good. Oh my goodness. Golden Wind was a religious experience, if I'm being honest. It was insane. It was over the top. It was beautiful. It was crazy. So Golden Wind follows the story of Giorno Giovanno. So we are in Italy, in Italia. Excuse me. And Giorno is the son of Dio. So apparently when Dio was evil, he had a little bit of an interest in women, but he didn't really because, you know, he was the literal incarnation of evil. But apparently some of the women he didn't actually eat or kill, he managed to bone one of them and had a son. So that's where Giorno comes from. He is Dio's son. But since Dio has Jonathan's body, the inherent good of the Joestar bloodline is still in Giorno, so he's not evil like Dio, he is good like the original Jonathan Joestar, which is pretty cool. Giorno has the power of Gold Experience, or Golden Wind, so his stand is able to punch things, and when it punches things, it can transfer life energy into them. So that's pretty insane. His power is able to turn inanimate objects like a bullet into a plant, or one of his own teeth into a jellyfish or something. And his power, the thing that Golden Wind does really freaking well is it takes the crazy, imaginative, ridiculous powers and it just dials it up to 12. There are some incredible abilities here, so much so that I can barely wrap my head around some of them. Like, that's how insane it gets. Golden Wind is just crazy. The main antagonist is this gangster mob boss. So there's a whole, they're dealing with the Italian mafia, and there's this whole gang thing going on. So Season 5 is really darn cool. The main antagonist is this guy who is, his stand is, it's hard to wrap your head around. He can manipulate time, and yeah, it gets insane. I won't spoil it because his ability is crazy, but you should totally check out Golden Wind for yourself because I can't even with the crazy abilities and powers in this season. It's nuts. Giorno Giovanna himself, there's something about him that is just a little bit unsettling. I don't know, he's just a bit of a weird character. Maybe it's his hair that's just kind of strange. He's just kind of a weird looking dude. But anyways, That was Golden Wind. It's pretty sick. 10 out of 10 can recommend. Really good season. It was fantastic. But yeah, guys, that is a synopsis, pretty crappy retelling of the entire Jojo's story. If you've stuck into the video for this long of me blathering about Jojo's, then good on you. But yeah, Jojo's, it has been good. It has been very good. 2019, I could not have asked for a better anime. And Roundabout being stuck in my head when I was in Sugaiki. Good times, dude. Good times. But yeah, that was Jojo's, everybody. So if you've taken away anything from this video, Jojo's video? Did I say video? Video. Go watch Jojo's Bizarre Adventure. It's really good, and you'll understand all the memes. Oh yeah. So yeah, guys, that's about all I wanted to say about Jojo's. And yeah, I guess I'll just end the video here. Thanks for watching, everybody, and go watch Jojo's Bizarre Adventure. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye! I don't own any of the music or clips used in this video. It was done by David Production. Please don't sue me, I'm just a weeb.